hated and scorned, whose anger grew into a storm.
Think you know the age-old story of Sleeping Beauty? Well, think again. You're about to experience poetical theater, where the word meets the pulse meets the music meets the image, and all of it meets the child. This is Sleeping Beauty as you've never seen before. A rhymed verse spin on the classic fairy tale, with live music and mesmerizing projections that create a magical multimedia world in which our beautiful and funky princess is awakened by true love's kiss. Or not. I'm David Gonzalez, and I hope you'll join me for a magical ride. That's Friday, February 23rd, and Saturday, February 24th, at the Bermuda Festival of the Performing Arts. See you there.
Live from Bermuda Broadcasting, this is ZBM TV9 News.
Good evening, everyone. It's Monday, February 26, 2018. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us tonight. Government's public awareness campaign on the decriminalization of cannabis got underway last week, but police will continue to clamp down on smoking in public. Mike Sharp reports.
It is important to recognize that cannabis remains a controlled drug and that the 2017 amendment to the Act does not legalize the use of cannabis in Bermuda. The Minister of Social Development and Sports, Michael Weeks, explains further.
What the Misuse of Drugs, the Decriminalization of Cannabis Amendment Act 2017 actually did was to remove criminal offenses for the simple possession by any person of 7 grams or less of cannabis. The Misuse of Drugs Amendment Act 2017 does not make it legal for a person to consume, cultivate, traffic, or import cannabis in any quantity.
And what is the benefit of decriminalization?
The benefit of the decriminalization of cannabis is that a person cannot be subjected to criminal prosecution for simple possession of 7 grams or less of cannabis. It is our hope and our belief that taking this important action will help to prevent more young black men from being placed on the proverbial stop list and have their lives completely altered by virtue of not being able to travel to the United States to pursue further education or to seek other opportunities.
The government has no control of those previously convicted of cannabis possession.
It is important to understand that the Misuse of Drugs, the Decriminalization of Cannabis, Amendment Act 2017, does not provide any guarantee that a person will not be stopped when attempting to travel to the United States of America for any reason, including if that person already has a prior conviction for simple possession of cannabis. Such matters are outside the control of the government of Bermuda. Let me restate, the Amendment Act does not erase prior criminal convictions in connection with cannabis that were in effect before the Act came into force.
Parents must continue to play their part, says the minister.
With regard to minors, it is not our intent to remove parental responsibility, which must remain in the hands of the parents, who, using their best judgment and the best information that is available to them, should provide guidance to their children regarding substance use and misuse. However, the Amendment Act provides the Minister of Social Development and Sports with the power to make regulations in relation to substance abuse education or treatment for any person, and in particular, a minor who is found to possess any amount of cannabis.
It should be noted that the Director of Public Prosecutions has confirmed that the caution policy that was issued by him in February of last year regarding simple possession of less than 3 grams of cannabis no longer has effect. Mike Sharp with Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Stay with us. More news after the break.
I got these for seasickness last week, and they're terrible.
That's strange.
I know. I put one behind each ear like you're supposed to, and nothing happened.
These are tablets. You're meant to take them with water.
I got this pump for my asthma. Hasn't changed anything.
Show me how you're using it. It's an inhaler. You're meant to breathe it in.
Well, this toothpaste, definitely off.
It's a hemorrhoid cream.
Well, that explains why my gums are shrinking.
The whole concept came from the collaboration with BF&M and the America's Cup. The Endeavour program is the legacy of the 35th America's Cup that was here in Bermuda in June. And we've continued the charity now operating in Bermuda. And going forward, we thought, what a great opportunity for children on the autism spectrum. And hence we actually developed the No Limits program. They really do benefit from this kind of outdoor experience, this environment. You know, just yesterday going off the east end of Bermuda, I mean, they wouldn't have done that. Not many children in Bermuda have done that. And just them learning to take control of a large bit of transportation that they're doing at that age, and they may never get that opportunity.
That's where you see the biggest progress is whether they were looking at their hand steering, you know, now they're looking forwards and actually looking where they're going because they've realized, oh, I know where my hand is. I can do this without looking at my hand.
We are so grateful for the Endeavour program and what it has done for the students on the autism spectrum.
Turning to weather news, a few showers for our Tuesday. Here's the latest from AccuWeather headquarters.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
This AccuWeather forecast here on ZBM is brought to you by our friends at the BF&M Insurance Group, and we do have some changes coming. We've had a really nice stretch, but as we look ahead, you can see that there is some active weather off to our west. Satellite loop there showing these showers and extra clouds increasing. There is a front out there. The lights are going out on them as the sun is setting with this particular view, but before it got dark, you could see a nice view with a visible satellite of that fine line there, which we couldn't really see all that well with the infrared satellite, but as the human eye would detect from outer space there, here's a black and white view, and that's the leading edge of that cooler air. That will be here early tomorrow. Temperatures right now are in the upper 60s, 69 degrees, and we're preparing for a round of showers. They're not here yet. We have winds from the west, pretty active, 10 to 14 knots. Water temp gained a degree since Friday, up to 71. On the inside, we have waves only around 1 to 2 feet. So decent boating weather for now. Outside of the island, we do have 4 to 6 footers, but they're really going to be ramping up in 2 cases. Once around the middle of the week, but they're really going to escalate, and we'll have very big waves at the end of the week into the weekend, especially Saturday night and Sunday. But tonight we're looking at some showers, 66 degrees for your low, just a few spotty showers probably after 3 or 4 a.m. It will really be an early morning round of showers, and then will become breezy into the afternoon, and we'll lose a couple of degrees as this front with the extra clouds, the showers will be in the neighborhood, the winds will change direction. We'll only make it up to around 69 degrees tomorrow. When it comes to the tide chart here, high tide just in the recent rear view mirror at 5:18 p.m. Low tide, tide's going out now, and it's at its minimum around 11:39 p.m. High tide number 2 rolls in early tomorrow morning, and then with some showers exiting around midday, the tide will be out once again. And we do have a small craft warning. We want to mention that. Small craft warning tonight through Tuesday into Wednesday as the waves will be growing a bit. And as we look at the gateway forecast across eastern parts of North America into the British Isles, we have a pretty nice weather pattern for Toronto and into areas like Newfoundland and Labrador, New York City, into Boston. Atlanta looks good. A little cooler in Atlanta than we were last week. Miami's still warm with some showers. And look at London. They're gearing up for a significant winter storm with heavy snow in the area and some strong winds as well. So that's a big deal there across the pond, as they say, off to the east. Elsewhere around the Caribbean, no snowflakes, obviously. We're looking good. 80s, showers here and there, not a big deal. So we do have some showers tomorrow morning. It will not be an all-day rain event, but there will be some showers mainly in the first half of the day. Then nice improvements, but a cooler weather pattern follows for Wednesday. Thursday, waves subside, but they're going to escalate late Saturday. We may have some very large waves, larger than 15 feet, as we step into the middle of the weekend because of a big nor'easter. We won't see anything too wild here precipitation-wise, but there will be some showers and thunderstorms and periods of rain. The worst of the storm stays to the north. Back to you.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
The new head of the Road Safety Council expects roadside sobriety checks to be approved in the House of Assembly this legislative session. But Dennis Lister III said speed cameras are not likely this year, and he rejected the idea of more difficult driving tests, a key demand of road safety campaigners. Hal Davis reports.
The pictures from the police service make for shocking viewing. Much of the mayhem on the island's roads comes from people taking to their cars or bikes while under the influence of drink or drugs. But there may now be action over the carnage on the roads, according to Dennis Lister III, a PLP MP and new head of the Road Safety Council.
Roadside sobriety checks hopefully will come online in this legislative session. They have the support of the government, they have the support of the Road Safety Council, and what they can be used is definitely as a deterrent to deter those from going out after drinking and then getting in the car.
With the majority of accidents involving drink or drugs, such sobriety testing and the prosecution of offenders could only help cut casualty figures. And those figures are deeply depressing. With 15 fatalities last year, Bermuda's road traffic deaths are the equivalent of 23 dead per 100,000 people. That's compared to 10.6 per 100,000 in the US and just 2.9 deaths in the UK. Comparisons with Caribbean states are also unflattering. Trinidad and Tobago's death rate, also at 10.6, is less than half that of Bermuda. Part of the reason for that is bikes. They're simply just much more dangerous than cars, with almost no protection for riders. But road safety campaigners say the government could be doing much more. In particular, they point to two more measures: roadside cameras to cut speeding and stricter driving tests, especially for younger riders. In the UK, for example, bike riders have to be highly competent on the roads, with lots of training in traffic before they get tested. That's not going to happen here anytime soon, according to Dennis Lister, who says the 12-hour Project Ride programme is good enough for Bermudan youngsters. Speed cameras are not likely to be seen in the short term either.
They are a good idea. Hopefully, in the long term, they can be brought online. As has been stated earlier this week by the Premier, they are not in the budget for this year, but hopefully that once the funding is available, they can be brought on and they can be a tool in helping to address the speeding issues in Bermuda.
Doctors at the hospital, like orthopaedic surgeon Dr. Joseph Francione, say the government response, like that of previous governments, is inadequate. And he's even sceptical that roadside sobriety tests will happen soon.
I've been hearing that for many years, so I would not hold my breath. I'll believe it when I see it. But you have to have a multi-prong approach. There are many things you could do. The people in the business of road safety here, the community action group that we formed, and a piece of the rock that produced that film, have decided to lobby for a three-pronged approach, and I see no reason why we shouldn't pursue all three.
So, a distinct lack of faith that Bermuda's roads will get safer in the short term at least. Only time will tell if the doctor is right. But if he is, it's a damning indictment of Bermuda's inability to solve one of its most pressing problems. Howell Davis, Bermuda Broadcasting News.
In other news, it's estimated that 10% of the island's school-aged children have been impacted by some form of trauma, and that Education Minister Diala Roubain suggests has had at least some bearing on issues impacting their academic performance, particularly in the island's public schools. The minister explained to us that efforts are being made to address the situation, which can result in displays of antisocial behavior and will involve multiple government agencies.
Students are looked at differently nowadays. When me and you went to school and people around our age, we had the corporal punishment and we had that sort of intervention. What we look at now is a different way of understanding why students are behaving the way they're behaving. And so teachers are undergoing training. They've been undergoing training, and it's still continuing to recognize within the students that little Johnny didn't bring his homework in, and this may be because of issues beyond him just not wanting to do his homework. So they need to identify that, put the right resources within schools to actually elevate these kids. We're working along also with the Ministry of National Security to look at preventative methods and intervention methods with our children. Currently, at the moment, we're conducting a survey, what we call a trauma survey. What we realized was there was a trauma survey done on our children, and what the trauma survey does is test. It actually is a survey to see what is affecting our children outside of academics, outside of coming to school, what's going on at home, what do the teachers observe of the students, and so we can get a better idea of the types of issues they're facing. What we found out was there were supposed to be subsequent follow-ups, but they were never done. So we're in the process of doing another one so we can compare what was done. I believe it was three years.
Meanwhile, with Premier and Finance Minister David Burt having made it clear that government is looking at introducing heavily math and science-influenced financial technology, or FinTech, as a means of boosting the economy, recent public school IGCSE results do not augur well in that regard. Mr. Urbane told us measures are being implemented to ensure public school students are prepared to make the most of employment opportunities created by FinTech.
In terms of FinTech, we're looking at things that we can do within workforce development, and I've talked to the Premier. We talked about pulling together boot camps and that sort of thing to take people and get them on and get them, get them prepared for the sorts of things that are coming down. I have been talking to some firms overseas that specialize in producing plans that are specifically for these types of industries. You're talking about 6 month, 8 month, 9 months type plans where it's we need the dedication of the persons that are within it. So we are looking at that, but getting back to education, we will turn this around. It won't happen overnight, but the things are being put in place now to ensure that the next crop of children that do graduate from our senior school system and pass through its entirety will come out at the other end better prepared in terms of our grading.
And stay with us. We're coming right back.
Step into the next generation of sinks, faucets, tubs, and more with the bold look of Kohler. Choose from a range of whole room solutions, or let an individual piece be your guide for a feel-good, look-good quality. Pure inspiration at your fingertips. Kohler's Next Generation Showroom at BAC.
All my life is changing every day, in every possible way. And then I open up and see the person falling here is me. 'Cause you're a dream to me.
Made with care, handled with care, delivered with care. That's what dreams are made of.
Philadelphia International Medicine provides international patients with access to a unique network of world-renowned doctors and surgeons that provide personalized medical and surgical care, connecting you to the U.S.'s leading healthcare specialists who are ranked among the best in the world. Healing is possible when you're confident in your healthcare team. To find out more, contact us at physicians@philadelphiamedicine.com or call 1-215-563-4733.
Welcome back. Trade negotiators from Canada, the U.S., and Mexico are hunkering down for another round of talks in Mexico City. They have just 1 month left to reach an agreement on a revamped version of the North American Free Trade Agreement. With a name like that, you may be wondering what it has to do with Bermuda. As Tony Waterman explains, one trip to the grocery store answers that.
Mexico for the asparagus, Mexico for the limes, Mexico for the avocados, Mexico even for these strawberries right here. So if there's any sort of shift when it comes to NAFTA, how is that going to impact prices?
If there's a shift and the Mexico has to pay heavy tariffs on getting their product through the U.S., then the price here is going to be impacted.
The same would be true for items coming across the Canadian border into the United States. How much could the price go up?
It really depends on what percentage they put on the tariff. So if it goes up 30%, then we're going to see a 30% increase in that price.
To understand how this works, we have to go back to 1994. That's when the North American Free Trade Agreement came into force. NAFTA knocked down trade barriers, eliminated most tariffs, and essentially made North America a single trade bloc. Nearly every product was impacted, from cars to appliances to food. Prices came down, business expenses were streamlined and deeply integrated, cost-efficient supply chains were developed.
They're even integrated for things like beef, where the cows themselves, the actual animal, is potentially born in Canada, fattened in the United States, slaughtered in Mexico, and then sold in all three markets.
Or it's exported to places like Bermuda. That means any changes to NAFTA will have a direct impact here. So why, after 20 plus years, is NAFTA being revamped? One word: Trump.
NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history. It's like the history of this country.
U.S. President Donald Trump believes NAFTA pushed millions of U.S. jobs to Mexico, where labor is cheaper. Modernizing the agreement, though, has been slow and thorny. That's left farmers nervous that the negotiations could fall apart, leading to new tariffs on fruits, vegetables, and meats. Tariffs that would be tacked on to items shipped to Bermuda.
If NAFTA were to collapse, or if the United States were to withdraw from NAFTA, then costs are going to go up across the board. So costs go up because, let's go back to the example of cows. They would have to be raised potentially wholly in Canada, the United States, or Mexico. Well, the reason why you do this crazy thing with the cows and move the actual animals between these three countries is that economically it makes the most sense.
The trade talks looked dire at the start of the year, but now experts think NAFTA may squeeze by with only minor adjustments, things like environmental or digital provisions. Ultimately, that depends on Mr. Trump. But if it stays mostly intact, it would be a welcome relief in Bermuda, where just about everything is imported from the U.S., but can have origins in Mexico or Canada.
It's like any other pond. You throw a stone in the pond and you get a ripple effect.
Here's hoping the NAFTA revamp is more pebble than stone. Tony Waterman for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Now let's throw it over to Earl Baisden with sports.
A total of 50 goals were scored in the Premier and First Division combined this weekend, with the top of the Premier and First Divisions remaining the same, but some results have the chasing pack in the Premier Division looking different. In Premier Division play, it was Young Men's Social Club 2, Boulevard Blazers 3, PHC Zebras 4, Somerset Trojans 0, Devonshire Cougars 4, Dandytown Hornets 2, Crossroads 4, North Village Rams 2. On Saturday night at the BAA field, it was Flanagan's Onions 1, Robin Hood 5. In the First Division, it was Devonshire Colts 0, Somerset Eagles 4, BAA 5, St. George's Colts 2, Wolves 0, Paget Lions 4, Southampton Rangers 4, Island Rangers 0. Hamilton Parish picked up their first win of the season when they defeated St. David's 3-1 at the Wellington Oval. Meanwhile, Willie Clemens is now playing in the Baltic region. He is on trials with Bowden's BK. Clemens took part in several games for Bowden's BK in the Arnaz Bill Cup as he's looking to impress the club's coaching staff and earn a professional contract. Clemens scored the opening goal as Bowden's BK won the Arnaz Bill Cup 2-1 against Lura in the final. The second best of the best swim meet took place at the Bassa Pool on Saturday, with Daniel Kuntz winning the boys 11-12 age group race in the 100-meter freestyle, touching the wall in a time of 1:10.45. He would finish ahead of birthday boys Flynn and Harlan Watson Brown in times of 1:12.52 and 1:14.05 respectively. Sam Williamson won the 100-meter freestyle boys 11-12 age group race with a personal best time of 56.27. Brian Desmond was second in 58.38, and Caleb Ingham finished third with a time of 1:00.05. The 100-meter freestyle girls 10 and under race was won by Imogen Judd in a time of 1:12.49. Marley Howells was second in 1:15.01, and Flora Betts was third in a time of 1:27.23. Bermuda National Athletic Association held yet another track meet at the National Sports Center over the weekend. Ryan Otterbridge, who has already met the qualifying standard for Carifta, did it again, this time meeting the under-17 boys 1500-meter time. Destiny Hill missed out on a qualifying time in the under-20 girls 100 meters, and she was clocked at 12:78, the standard being 12 seconds flat. Taylor Hines hit the mark yet again in the under-17 girls 200 dash, clocking 25:58, with the standard being 26 flat. Keturah Beaufort Trot was clocked at 26:15, and Sonoray Morris was clocked at 26:78. The qualifying standard for the boys under 20 200-meter dash is 21.80. Deneo Bean was clocked at 22:16, and Stephen Dill was clocked at 22:78. Dennis Mbalenzi and Gail Lindsay are the 2018 Utilities 5K Road Race male and female champions. Mbalenzi clocked a winning time of 18:05, with Dominique Mayo second in 18:18 and Teddy Shum third in 18:41. Lindsay finished fifth overall, stopping the clock in a time of 19:56. Victoria Fiddick was the second female finisher and seventh overall with a time of 21:09. Maisha Sharif was the third female finisher and 11th, clocking 22:06. Meanwhile, the 2018 Telford Electric Magic Mile took place at the National Sports Center on Saturday, with Jazari Talbot winning the 12 to 15-year-old girls race. The 12 to 15-year-old boys race was won by Tajai Goter, who was clocked across the line in 8:25:07. Catherine Bean Rosario won the 10 to 11-year-old girl race with a time of 8:58:12. Ramaya Brangman was second in 9:16:92, and Elise Dickinson was third in a time of 9:22:23. The 10 to 11-year-old boys race was won by Bakari Furbert, who clocked a winning time of 8:12:79. Diane Grant was second in 8:15:92, and Jace Donowa finished third, stopping the clock in a time of 8:24:46. Jair Mitchell has now earned enough points to apply for a full professional motocross card following racing at the Sunday Tampa Supercross at the Raymond James Stadium. Mitchell only needed 2 points going into the event in the 250A class in order to be able to apply for his card. Mitchell finished second in Heat 1 and then third in the main race to finish third overall. Under ideal conditions on Saturday, the first of 3 competitions that comprise of the 2018 FEI World Jumping Challenge was held at the National Equestrian Center on Visa Street. Riders from 10 different geographical zones compete over the same jumping course designed by an FEI appointed course designer. Competing in the category A, the 1.20 to 1.30 meter class, were Philip Correa, Dale Rochester, and Vicky Steele, with Correa riding Emerson securing the top spot. Casey Truing riding De La Vega won the 1.10 to 1.20 meter category B class. Placing first in the category C class, the 1.00 to 1.10 meter class, was Courtney Brumby and her horse Breath the Weight. Yesterday, Harness Pony Racing returned to the National Equestrian Center on Visa Street with a full slate of racing. It's All About Me with Casey Truin in the bike won the 104 and faster time bar class, clocking a time of 104:01, while Cherokee's Ironman with Dorico Clark in the bike was second in the same time of 104:01. Costa the Dragon and Andy Stoneham was third in a time of 104:03. In the 106:03 to 108 time bar class, first heat, it saw Major Medical and Tazai Flood clock a winning time of 107:04. Spirit of Brona and Damian Tucker was second in 108:03. Stay tuned with Kayla Cardwell finished third in a time of 108:04. I'm Earl Baisden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
The whole concept came from the collaboration with BF&M and the America's Cup. The Endeavour program is the legacy of the 35th America's Cup that was here in Bermuda in June. And we've continued the charity now operating in Bermuda. And going forward, we thought, what a great opportunity for children on the autism spectrum. And hence we actually developed the No Limits program. They really do benefit from this kind of outdoor experience, this environment. You know, just yesterday going off the east end of Bermuda, I mean, they wouldn't have done that. Not many children in Bermuda have done that. And just them learning to take control of a large bit of transportation that they're doing at that age, and they may never get that opportunity.
That's where you see the biggest progress is whether they were looking at their hand steering, you know, now they're looking forwards and actually looking where they're going, because they've realized, oh, I know where my hand is. I can do this without looking at my hand.
We are so grateful for the Endeavour program and what it has done for the students on the autism spectrum.
Your home, your life, security, be fire and burglar free. Right from your phone, monitor, control, lock safes, doors, gates, business, family safe. You're on the go, and that's okay. BSG with you every
Bermuda Security Group, your security, life safety, and monitoring experts. We're with you every step of the way. Bermuda Security Group, BSG.BM.
Dreamz, Bermuda's newest and only dedicated sleep center, had its official opening on Saturday. The store opened its doors on February the 5th, but the grand opening was last Saturday, February the 24th, with all the festivities carried out then. In attendance and cutting the ceremonial ribbon was Deputy Premier Walter Oban, together with Minister Levita Fogo. Our Power 95's Don Bassett, Mr. Midday himself, was there to make sure the party was hopping and carried out interviews of Ben Wilson, the owner of Dreamz, as well as Minister Fogo and Mark Hopper from Revive Chiropractic Service. The Serta sheep mascot was also there to entertain the children. Dreamz is located on the lower level of the Washington Mall by the food court. And that's our newscast for tonight. I'm Diane Brewer. Thanks for sharing your evening with us, everyone. Good night.